Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be going over a complete weapons guide for Yoimiya. Now, she isn't out yet, but we've got a very large database of weapons to choose from based on her kit at the moment. Before I go on, I would like to say that they did change her burst ultimate to be more of a sub DPS capability type of ultimate. They changed it from an 80 energy cost down to 60, and what this effectively does is make it to where you're going to have almost constant uptime. With this, you only have 4 seconds of downtime, which I think is really good. They made the multipliers a little bit lower to keep her in line with a sub DPS kind of role. However, I think this is going to be very good. And if you guys still wanted to do DPS Yoimiya, well, her auto attack E right here is still going to be very potent for that. So let's take a look at some weapons that are going to be very good for all sorts of builds for Yoimiya. If you guys haven't subscribed, I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. We're making some pretty good progress. I really appreciate all of you that subscribe. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Okay, so how I'm going to cover Yoimiya's weapons is going to be her charge attack capabilities, her auto attack capabilities, and her sub DPS capabilities as her main 3 builds. And that is basically going to be how I'm going to categorize these when I talk about each of these weapons, what kind of they work the best for, which ones are more general play Yoimiya, and which ones are going to be more so for only specific builds. So anyway, like always, I start with the blues and go all the way down to the unreleased weapons at the very end. So if you guys want to see those, stick around to the end. There's one blue weapon that is going to be extremely good on Yoimiya, and I'm just calling this right now. The Slingshot Weapon is going to be very good, so let's take a look at this. It's probably one of the better blue weapons for Yoimiya, and the reason being is because this plays very well into her auto attack on the field damage capabilities. Firstly, it comes with a crit rate substat. Its base attack is pretty low, however, it's going to make up for that with an extra damage bonus to normal or charge attack hits that hit within 0.3 seconds of being fired. So basically you're going to be right near enemies shooting your arrows, and it's going to be doing some increased damage up to 36%. And at refinement level 5, you're going to be getting 60% extra damage on her auto attacks. This does work on the charge attack hits, so if you are going for her tracking arrows, that is going to be something that you can keep in mind if you're right on top of enemies when you're charging your charge attack arrows. That's going to increase the damage by 60% at R5 with this as well, so it's going to be very good. And otherwise, it just decreases the damage by 10%, so it's not too big of a decrease in damage. However, keep in mind that you are losing out on base attack with this weapon, and that's the main thing holding this back. But otherwise, this is going to be a very fun weapon to actually try out on Yoimiya. Bow is also probably going to be the other alternative for the blue weapons for Yoimiya. This one comes with a good crit damage substat right here, up to 31%. It comes with a higher base attack, and this is actually about the same as the low base attack 4 stars, so this is going to be alright for that. Plus its passive charge attacks on weak points deal an additional 100% attack damage as a crit, and it can occur once every 10 seconds. So basically when you have Yoimiya on cooldown off of her elemental skill, you can use this weapon to do like a charge attack hit, and it could be alright doing that. As far as what I would recommend this for, I don't think I would actually really recommend this weapon very much. Your auto attacks aren't going to be very good. Mainly what you're going for is like charge attacks that can only occur once every 10 seconds, so it's not really a DPS option. More so just oh, I'm switching to Yoimiya, I'm going to do like a charge attack on a weak spot, get some extra damage, you know. So yeah, I would basically just keep this as a... You only use it if you have to, kind of. The Sharpshooter's Oath is just a better version of it anyway. It's a more consistent in terms of your DPS that you're actually going to get. This one has an even higher crit damage stat, a little bit lower base attack, but you're getting like increased damage against weak spots by 24% at R1. And at R5, it's going to be a 48% increase to damage against weak spots. So basically, this is like a mini Amos bow that you're going to be using as a blue star weapon. So this could be okay. Okay, now moving on to the 4-star weapons. So the first 4-star weapon we're going to talk about is going to be Stringless. Now I think this one is going to be very good for sub DPS Yoimiya. Basically you're going to keep her off the field using her elemental skill. You're going to make sure that you're using characters that constantly apply. So you're trying to set up reactions with your Yoimiya's burst attacks, which is going to be fine. It's not going to get the highest multipliers, but the elemental mastery stat on your Stringless is going to be very good. It gives you like 165 Elemental Mastery, which is very good. Its base attack is pretty good, so you're going to be alright with your Yoimiya. Elemental skill and elemental burst damage by 24%. That's not going to affect any of the elemental skill damage because our elemental skill doesn't do damage, similar to Tartaglia's. So all this is going to help you out with burst damage, and so your burst is going to be doing some pretty good damage, so this is probably going to be one of the better sub-DPS weapons for Yoimiya, especially if you're using characters like Ganyu as your main DPS, and using like Yoimiya's ultimate to actually trigger melt reactions inside of like a Ganyu ult, for example. Weapons that was on the weapon banner back in 1.4. Now this one, I don't know of too many people that pulled for it, but this weapon is actually a pretty good weapon if you manage to get it at higher refinements. Even at R1 is still a pretty decent option for just general play Yoimiya. So it has a high base attack of 565, which is the highest for like 4-star weapons usually. It comes with some attack percent, which is going to give you some extra attack, and it's going to help out your overall build. The passive on this is pretty good. While the character equipped with this weapon is in the party but not on the field, which is kind of what you're doing with Yoimiya when she's off the field. Their damage is being increased by 2% every second up to a max of 20% when the character is on the field for more than 4 seconds, which is going to be about half of her E spell's duration. The damage buff will be decreased by 4% per second until it reaches 0. So pretty much what's going to happen is that after the 4 seconds that you're on the field, you're going to start decreasing this per second. So by the time that your E-spell ends, you're going to not have any damage bonus. However, you're going to gain that back when you're off the field. So this will probably be good for general play Yoimiya. It's a little bit weird if you're going for Yoimiya to do like auto attacks, that kind of stuff, because you do lose out on the damage bonus while you're off the field and you have to like restack it. But like if you're just using Yoimiya as like a sub DPS, this can be very good as well. If you're not planning on auto attacking with Yoimiya for more than like the 4 seconds, get a little bit of stacks, do some damage, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of going to be a harder weapon to use, but overall a very good weapon for Yoimiya. Blackcliff Warbow is probably going to be the best for a main DPS at Yoimiya, and the reason why I say this is because this one doesn't have any downsides of staying on the field, and whenever you defeat enemies, you're going to get an attack increase of 12%. For 30 seconds, it gets up to 3 stacks. Yoimiya does have a pretty good base attack, and this weapon also comes with one of the higher base attacks, and also a crit damage substat. So overall, this weapon is actually going to be pretty good for Yoimiya. So Blackcliff is going to definitely increase your damage potential. I would just make sure that you run like a crit substats on some of your things. You probably can run a crit damage hat thanks to Yoimiya's crit rate ascension stat, which I think is probably one of Yoimiya's better aspects. She's going to be kind of similar to Xiao, where you can use like a crit damage weapon or like an attack percentage weapon to increase your damage. And yeah, that's going to be very good. Harmonious Warbow could be a very good option for sub DPS Yoimiya. It has a lower base attack, but it does have a high amount of energy recharge. So what you can do is you can have your ultimate up pretty much constantly. And also critical hits are going to have a 60% chance to generate some elemental particles, which will regenerate 6 energy for the character. And that can occur every like 12 seconds-ish. And so what you can do with this is that if you see the energy particles, you don't have to use them on Yoimiya. What you can do is you can swap as soon as you trigger this. And that's generally how I use the Favonius weapons anyway. Crescent is probably going to be a little bit harder to use versus on a character like Ganyu. And the reason I say this is because when you don't have Yoimiya's E-spell active, her charge attacks are actually going to end up being the tracking arrows. And we don't know at the moment if those can actually hit weak spots, or if whenever they do actually hit an opponent, they actually automatically hit track for weak spots. That could be something very interesting. But this weapon is pretty good. This weapon is pretty good overall, and a craftable weapon. It comes with a base attack of 510. It comes with an attack percent stat, which is going to be very good for increasing your damage overall. And it's passive. Whenever your charge attack hits weak spots, it's going to increase your movement speed by 10% and your attack by 36% at R1 for 10 seconds. Now, since this is a craftable one, a lot of people have a lot of bow prototypes, so they can get this all the way up to R5. And so at R5, you're going to be getting 72% attack for 10 seconds when you hit weak spots. So this is a very good weapon overall if you have a lot of prototypes sitting around. Now, Rust is probably going to be the best for main DPS Yoimiya. The reason I say this is because it does come with a normal base attack. It comes with attack percent, so you're going to be rounding out pretty much all aspects of your build. But its passive right here is going to be extremely good for her auto attacks. She already has a auto attack boost with her E-spell at a very high percentage, so it's going to be interesting to see how high you can actually get your auto attacks with your Yoimiya. She's probably going to be pretty similar to a Tartaglia in terms of what the auto attacks can actually do in terms of DPS. So the passive on this increases your normal attack damage by 40%, which is quite a substantial bit. Now if you get to R5, it's going to increase your normal attack damage by 80%. And that is quite a substantial bit on top of the amount of damage bonus that you're going to be getting off of her E-spell. So it's going to be very good on Yoimiya. The Viridescent Hunt is the battle pass weapon, and this one's probably going to be pretty good on either sub DPS Yoimiya or just general Yoimiya in general. So this one comes with a basic base attack at 510, and this comes with a crit rate substat up to 27%. So basically if you use this weapon along with Yoimiya's crit rate ascension, you're basically not going to need any more sources for crit rate. The passive on this is also pretty good. Upon hit, normal and aim shot attacks have a 50% chance to generate a cyclone, which will continually attract surrounding opponents, dealing 40% of attack as damage to these opponents every half a second for 4 seconds. So that gives you some extra DPS on this, and it can occur every 14 seconds. So overall, this is going to be very good for just rounding out your general Yoimiya builds. We finally get on to the 5-star options for Yoimiya. Harp is definitely probably going to be one of the better 5-star options for your Yoimiya. A lot of you probably already have this one. The reason why this is so good is because it has a very high base attack of 674, so you're going to be getting a lot of stats from that. Make sure you run like attack percent on your artifacts. Focus on to that because you do get a lot of supplementary stats from this as well. You're going to be getting 22% crit rate, which is going to stack on top of her Ascension crit rate, and that's going to give you about 50% crit rate just off of that, not using any crit rate artifacts, anything like that. Its passive increases your crit damage by 20%, so already a 20% damage bonus whenever you hit crits. Hits have a 60% chance to inflict a small AoE attack, dealing 125% physical attack damage. Can only occur every 4 seconds. So that's a very good in terms of what you're actually going to be doing with your Yoimiya, which is going to be on the field damage. I think this can actually trigger off the field with your hits, but I'm not sure on that. So overall, this is very good for DPS Yoimiya, and also you could use it as sub DPS Yoimiya as well. Ammo's Bow is going to be the best in slot for Yoimiya with the charge attack kind of DPS. It increases your normal and charge attack damage by 12%. After normal and charge attacks are fired, damage dealt increases further by 8% every 0.1 seconds the arrow is in flight, up to 5 times. So that's going to give you a lot of charge attack damage from that. Its base attack is at 608, and its attack percent goes up to 49%, so you're going to be getting a lot of attack percent. Basically at R1, this is better than like a prototype Crescent, so if you have a prototype Crescent or this, I would use this over the prototype Crescent. But this can be a generally good weapon for Yoimiya regardless, even if you are using your auto attacks, that kind of stuff. Elegy of the End is probably going to be one of the better support / sub DPS weapons for your Yoimiya. This comes with a 608 base attack and also 55% energy recharge, so you're going to be getting your ult up a lot faster. And also its passive right here, it has millennial movement, and so increase your elemental mastery by 60%, so it's going to be very good for sub DPS triggering reactions. When elemental skills or elemental bursts of the character wielding this weapon hit opponents, the character grants a Sigil of Remembrance. This effect can be triggered every 0.2 seconds, can be triggered even if the said character is not in the field, so very good for Yoimiya if you're using her as a sub DPS off the field when her ult and her E are down. When you possess 4 Sigils of Remembrance, all of them will be consumed, and all nearby party members will attain millennial movement. And so for 12 seconds, it increases your elemental mastery by 100%, so it's going to be good for Yoimiya along with whatever character you're using as a main DPS, trying to trigger like reactions with Yoimiya as a sub DPS. It increases your attack by 20% also, so this is going to be a very synergy weapon for your Yoimiya. Now we're going to get onto the unreleased and upcoming weapons. These are going to be the ones that are coming out in update 1.7 with Inazuma. So first off, this weapon right here, which is going to be out in 1.7. This one is going to give you a base attack. It's pretty low, however it does give you attack percent, so it's going to kind of make up for that a little bit. However, I would have liked to have seen some other sort of stat that could have been better, just in my opinion. But the passive on this is going to be pretty decent for Yoimiya in general. It increases your normal attack damage by 16%, so already very good for auto attack Yoimiya. And increases your charge attack damage by 12%, so you can use some of her charge attacks as well. When equipping, the character's energy reaches 100%, this effect is increased by 100%. So basically, if you manage to get your character's energy to 100%, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doubling this up to the 32% normal attack damage. And so at R5, since this has a 32% normal attack damage, whenever that doubles its effect, it's going to actually double that to 64% normal attack damage. Not as crazy as if you were using like a rust per se, but this could be an interesting weapon. The Piece of Resistance for your Yoimiya. The official weapon that's going to be releasing with Yoimiya on her character banner, on the weapon banner beside her, it's going to be this weapon. Now this one is an electro-themed kind of weapon in terms of its aesthetics. However, this is going to be extremely good and basically tailored for Yoimiya DPS. This base attack goes up to 608. It has a crit damage substat of 66%, so it's going to be very, very good. It's basically going to be a very large increase to your crit damage, and you're going to definitely get a lot of damage off of this. And its passive is actually going to be very good for Yoimiya in general anyway. So it increases your attack damage by 20%, grants you Might of the Thunder Seal, which stacks up to 3 times. Each Thunder Seal stack increases your normal attack damage by 12%, 24%, or 40% at the 3 stacks. So at 3 stacks, you're going to get 40% extra damage bonus off of this. The character will contain 1 stack of Thunder Steel in each of the following scenarios. Normal attack deals, hits, deal damage. So every time you cast... So basically, once you get up to 3 hits off of your elemental normal attacks, you're going to be getting stacks off of this. Those stacks last 5 seconds. Casting an elemental skill gives you a stack that lasts 10 seconds, which is the exact duration of Yoimiya's skill anyway. Energy is going to be, if your energy is less than 100%, if energy is less than 100%, you're going to be getting a stack as well. And so that stack disappears whenever your energy is full. So basically, if you don't have your energy full, you're automatically going to be getting the first stack. And so each stack's duration is calculated independently. So overall, this weapon is going to be probably the best on Yoimiya, I would say. Definitely very good for DPS Yoimiya. However, if the Thunder Seals last when you're off the field, this could be also very good for sub DPS Yoimiya, just in terms of how much damage you're going to be getting from this. And so yeah, I would definitely recommend possibly pulling for this weapon if you guys want a very good bow. This also could be very good on other characters like Ganyu, something like that, because you don't necessarily have to normal attack with this. What you can do is you can activate like your elemental skill, get one of these stacks when your energy is at 100%. So if you are running like DPS Ganyu, this could be a very good weapon for that as well. So basically you would have 2 stacks whenever you're using Ganyu that way anyway. All you'd have to do is like no auto attack once or something. And yeah, it wouldn't be that hard to actually get this for like a Ganyu or other characters in the future. So even if you don't pull Yoimiya but you do pull this weapon, this could be very good in the future as well. But that's basically it for the Yoimiya weapons guide. Let me know how you guys enjoyed this video. It's definitely a very long, lengthy process. There's all sorts of good weapons for Yoimiya, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But anyway, remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. Anyway, it's been me, Arctic. See you all next time. Farewell.